In the heart of 1990s Dallas, defenders braced for collisions with Emmitt Smith. The relentless back built in Pensacola, crowned Florida's Mr. Football, and forged by more than 8,000 high school rushing yards before rewriting college and pro football history. How did a player doubted for his speed become the most feared force of a dynasty? And what drove him never to run backward? Even when the world expected otherwise, the answer begins long before the spotlight ever found him. Emmitt James Smith III entered the world on May 15, 1969, in Pensacola, Florida, the second of 7 children in a tight-knit family. His father, Emmitt Jr., worked long hours as a bus driver and mechanic, while his mother, Mary, picked up shifts wherever she could. The Smith household was modest, but it pulsed with determination. From an early age, Emmitt joined his father on odd jobs, learning the value of sweat and sacrifice. On the dusty fields behind Escambia High School, Smith's legend began to take shape. Coaches and neighbors watched a boy outrun poverty and expectation, carving up defenses with a style that refused to give ground. He ran with a low center of gravity, churning legs, and a balance that made him nearly impossible to bring down. If a tackler met him head-on, Smith absorbed the hit, kept his feet, and surged forward. If the play collapsed, he found daylight where none seemed possible. By the end of his high school career, Smith had rushed for more than 8,000 yards, second most in American prep history at the time. His senior season alone brought over 2,000 yards, and the title of Florida's Mr. Football in 1986. The local press ran out of superlatives. College recruiters lined the fences, but Escambia's coaches knew what set Smith apart wasn't just numbers. It was the grit forged in family struggle, the refusal to ever run backward, and the sense that every carry was a chance to honor the people who believed in him first. At the University of Florida, Emmitt Smith's impact was immediate and undeniable. Stepping onto the Gainesville campus in 1987, he joined Coach Galen Hall's Gators as a true freshman and wasted no time rewriting the school's record books. In his very first season, Smith broke the single-game rushing record with 224 yards against Alabama, a feat that caught the attention of the entire Southeastern Conference. His style, low to the ground, always moving forward, translated seamlessly to the college game. By the end of his third year, Smith had amassed 3,928 rushing yards and 36 touchdowns, both school records. He set 28 University of Florida records in just 3 seasons, including most 100-yard games and career all-purpose yards. Teammates and coaches marveled at his vision and balance, with Coach Hall calling him the most naturally gifted and hardest-working back he'd ever seen. National media began to take notice, and Smith's name entered the conversation for the Heisman Trophy, even as the Gators struggled through NCAA sanctions. Despite pressure from fans and college advisors to stay for his senior year, Smith announced he would forgo his final season and enter the 1990 NFL Draft. The decision shocked some in Gainesville, but Smith's achievements had already placed him among the elite in college football history. His time at Florida proved he was more than a high school phenom. He was ready for the next level. On draft day in 1990, Emmitt Smith waited as team after team passed him by. Scouts doubted his speed, citing a 4.45-second 40-yard dash. Some front offices couldn't see past the stopwatch, but Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson saw something different. A back who refused to fall backward. A player who turned every carry into a fight for extra yards. The Cowboys took Smith with the 17th pick, a decision that drew more skepticism than applause. Even after signing, Smith held out in training camp, determined to secure a contract that matched his value. That brief standoff set the tone. Emmitt Smith would not be underestimated, on or off the field. When the season opened on September 9th, Smith lined up behind a rebuilding Dallas offense. He wasted no time making his presence felt. By the end of his rookie year, Smith had rushed for 937 yards and scored 11 touchdowns, finishing just shy of Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. He ran with purpose, following blocks from a young but powerful offensive line. Every week, his vision and balance silenced another critic. As the season wore on, a new core started to take shape in Dallas. Smith joined forces with quarterback Troy Aikman and receiver Michael Irvin, soon known as the Triplets. Together, they gave the Cowboys hope and swagger. The team finished 7-9, but the foundation was set. The gamble had paid off. The Cowboys had found their engine, and Emmitt Smith had proven he belonged among the NFL's elite. In 1993, Emmitt Smith carried the Dallas Cowboys on his back, sometimes quite literally. That season, he rushed for 1,486 yards and earned the NFL's Most Valuable Player award. But numbers alone can't capture the grit behind the glory. The defining moment came on October 10th at Giants Stadium. Early in the game, Smith's right shoulder was driven into the turf by a New York defender. Trainers diagnosed a separated shoulder and recommended weeks of rest. Instead, Smith demanded his pads be strapped tighter. He re-entered the game, arm hanging limp, pain etched across his face. Every handoff became a test of will. Giants defenders targeted his injury, but Smith kept running. He finished with 168 rushing yards and caught 10 passes for another 61, much of it after the injury. Teammates watched in awe as he absorbed hit after hit, refusing to leave the field. "A lot of people said I was crazy, but I knew my team needed me," Smith recalled later. That performance clinched the NFC East, secured home field advantage, and inspired the locker room. The Cowboys rode that momentum through the playoffs, capturing their second straight Super Bowl title. Smith's 132 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl 28 earned him MVP honors. By the time Dallas hoisted a third Lombardi trophy in January 1996, Smith's legend was secure, not just for his records, but for the day he ran through pain and doubt, leading by example when it mattered most. Emmitt Smith entered the 2002 season with a single, towering number in mind: 1,131 yards. That was the distance between him and Walter Payton's all-time rushing record, a mark that had stood untouched since 1987. Each week, the countdown ran in headlines and on stadium scoreboards, as Smith, now the oldest starting back in the league, chased history on worn legs. The Cowboys struggled, but Smith pressed on, sometimes grinding out every yard behind a fading line. Across the country, the Payton family watched, invited by Dallas to witness the pursuit their husband and father never saw completed. As the weeks passed, the suspense grew. Would Smith endure the pounding? Could he reach the summit before time or injury caught him? By late October, the entire football world held its breath. 11 yards remained. The record and the memory of Payton waited just ahead. 11 yards stood between Emmitt Smith and immortality. In the fourth quarter at Texas Stadium, with 11 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock, Smith took the handoff, slipped past the line, and powered forward for exactly 11 yards, enough to pass Walter Payton's all-time rushing record. The game stopped as Cowboys legends and the Payton family joined him on the field. Smith, tears streaming down his face, told the crowd, Walter Payton was the standard by which all running backs were measured. The record belonged to him, but the celebration was brief. Months later, Dallas released Smith, citing salary cap realities and a new era ahead. On March 19, 2003, he signed with the Arizona Cardinals, closing his Cowboys chapter, but not his career. In 2010, the Hall of Fame welcomed him, his 18,355 rushing yards still untouched, a testament to a back who refused to go down easily on any field. Emmitt Smith finished his FL career with 18,355 rushing yards, a record set on October 27, 2002 at Texas Stadium, as documented by official league statistics. From over 8,000 high school yards in Pensacola to 3 Super Bowl titles with Dallas, Smith's journey was defined by durability, vision, and an unwavering refusal to be stopped. His 1993 playoff run, fought through a separated shoulder, remains one of pro football's most documented displays of resilience. Yet, questions about how Smith's running style would translate to today's faster game, or how many more records he might have broken had salary cap changes not forced his departure from Dallas, remain topics for historians and analysts. What is clear, however, is that Smith's records and impact are verified in NFL archives and Hall of Fame documents. His legacy stands not just in numbers, but in the example he set for determination and steady excellence, qualities that still define what it means to be a champion in the NFL.